Okay, so let's go through a basic exercise routine that'll help you to get into this state of embodied wellness. So what we know from neuroscience is that any way you are chronically holding in the body has meaning for the brain. And so these exercises are designed to address key areas of chronic holding within the body that typically represent a reason for the brain to stay in the sympathetic fight or flight posture, which means you're walking around throughout your day in fight or flight, whether you know it or not. And it's no accident that depression sufferers typically live in a sense of fight or flight as part of the chronic conditions that they suffer as being depressed. So let's go into the first exercise. So as I do these exercises, I'll probably turn side on so you can see the exercise routine as I demonstrated. So the first exercise addresses the fact that many people in our society have shallow breathing. Shallow breathing is a state of defensive reaction to a potential threat in the environment. Now what happens is that we shallow breathe because we don't want to actually be mobile, we want to be immobilized, so the potential threat out there through our evolutionary biology says that if we're still, we won't be seen by the predator. So by shutting down our breathing, we do two things. We become still, which would make us safe in the face of a threat, but also it also serves to stop feelings arising from our body and into our awareness. For a lot of people, feelings represent pain and people don't want to feel their feelings. So that's the first part. So the first part will be a breathing. It's mouth in, mouth out breathing. And the second part is that people who are in fight or flight lock their pelvises and lock their spines into a startle response like this, which is exaggerated now. But basically they have very stiff spines and chronically locked pelvises. So the three aspects of this first exercise are to organically deepen the breathing, to get the pelvis moving, and to get the spine to be supple, because our spines aren't linear. The spines have a subtle S shape, which is the basic correct posture that we should have in wellness. So this exercise, as you'll now see, unlocks the rigidity of the spine, loosens the pelvis, and gets the organic breathing going. And all those three contrapositions to what was chronically held as tension then start to tell the brain and the nervous system, the reason I can be so loose and relaxed and organically breathing is that it is safe out there in the environment, the threat is gone, and now I can go into parasympathetic or the wellness, goodness state of the autonomic nervous system. So let's move into the exercise. So what you do is you need to soften your knees, because locked knees represent a startle response as if there's a threat. So the very first thing we do is soften the knees. This is true of all the exercises we do in this body-mind tradition. The other thing we've got to do is, to get this exercise to work, is what we'll be doing is I'll be swinging my pelvis backwards like that at the same time that I bring my shoulders back. So I take the shoulder blades and bring them back, exposing the belly, but also bringing the pelvis back at the same time. Now the exercise then starts to look like that as the first position in the movement of the exercise. To complete the exercise though, we have to use the breathing. So what we do is we synchronize the breathing through the mouth to be an in-breath as we bring the shoulders and the pelvis backwards, like so. And then the contra movement is we need to breathe if we're going to stay alive. So we breathe out, bring the pelvis forward and the shoulders forward, like so. And then basically you're an oscillating movement of shoulders backwards, pelvis backwards, and breathing in, and then shoulders forward, pelvis forward, breathing out. So let me go into the dynamic movements of this and you'll soon pick it up. As you notice, as I organically get into this movement, my head assumes a backward tilt as I'm doing the exercise. As part of this, you will develop a rhythm. Allow that rhythm just to be whatever is your pace of being. Over time, build up to around 3 minutes of each exercise. Clinically, this exercise comes from the bioenergetic tradition of Alexander Lowen, and then the later core energetics tradition of John Parakis. And it is called Reichian breathing, after Wilhelm Reich, who was the founder of the body-mind psychotherapy tradition. So we did the organic breathing, we did the shoulder movements and pelvic movements that help the spine, and we softened the legs. All these are important. There's some other indicators in the body which could be telling your brain to stay in fight or flight. So this second exercise deals with some of the other bodily symptoms of such a reality.